house is awfully quiet. Almost awfully quiet. So as we ended 2024, I really felt the need for us to start this year understanding how life works so that we could get connected right from the beginning of this year and start the process for ourselves with clarity and focus. Now, some of you had the Advent booklets, and in the Advent booklet, there were messages for every day. And on January 1st, the message was about understanding, the power of understanding. And here's what it said. Physically, understanding is your ability to assimilate information that comes to you in daily life. You may understand how your car operates or why an event occurs. Spiritually, your power of understanding is your ability to perceive beyond the physical senses into the realm of intuition. Emily Cady writes in Lessons in Truth, understanding is a spiritual birth, a revelation of God within the human soul. Spiritual understanding is the assurance that comes from a deep connection to one's inner self. It is the ability to see beyond the material world and to experience the interconnectedness of all things. Now, the message for tomorrow, January 6th, is about the power of life. And there are a couple of pieces in there that connect to the understanding. It will say when you read it, the true essence and meaning of life becomes crystal clear in pivotal moments. And as we breathe into this idea, our understanding of the world and our place in the world will transform. Spirit is inspiring and guiding us this very moment. My life is not only a series of events, but a collection of my own epiphanies, a treasure trove of divine insights. Each of those insights brings clarity and strength for the journey ahead. And any fear is not an obstacle, but a gateway to greater wisdom and deeper self-realization. Every experience, regardless of its nature, is an opportunity for significant growth and spiritual enlightenment. We welcome life's unexpected moments and epiphanies as opportunities to unlock our true potential. Now, all of that is great, but do we understand how to use it to our advantage? In order for that to happen, everything we just heard, for us to understand beyond the physical and to allow our spiritual realm to actually be the center of our guidance, we need to understand what synchronicity actually means from a spiritual perspective. We often brush these things off as coincidences. When something happens, how many times have you said, oh, that can't be possible? That's just a coincidence. But they aren't coincidences. They are intended to grab our attention, and we don't always pay attention. You know, on December 29th, I shared the irony of my brother-in-law's mom passing at the exact time, 1:44, the number 44 being their family's number that they've embraced for years. And it was 44 degrees outside. And last night, I heard from my sister about the memorial service, and today is my brother-in-law's birthday. And Friday, when they went to the celebration of life, the church that she belonged to had a reception, and at the reception was pineapple upside down cake, which his mother made for him every birthday when he flew home. And he knew it was a sign that he was supposed to know his mom was okay. Now, you can blow that off and say, oh, how many churches make pineapple upside down cake? But I'm just going to tell you, I've never seen one here. And no, do not bring them. Yeah, it's on its way. I can already hear the wheels. Let's bring 10 pineapple upside down cakes. But then Jan Cohn shared a story with me after the 29th service that really caught my attention. So for those of you new with us today, Jan's daughter passed a few days before Christmas. And Jan told me how crazy it was that a few months before her daughter's passing, that she had gotten a message. She heard the message from her husband, Ron, who had passed a while ago. And this was the message. It said, tell Sharon when she's ready to go, I will take her to the airport. Now, Jan didn't know at the time what that meant, but she told her daughter, and as Sharon got closer to exiting her earthly life, she said to her mom, I think I'm going to tell Dad I'm ready. So when Sharon passed, Jan confirmed the time. She wanted to know the exact time, and it was 7:47. Same number on a plane. Now, even wilder, Sharon passed in the same place that her father did. So all of that coming together for Jan was actually comforting and brought her tremendous peace. And I've shared this story in the past about my sister and I being in France in the 90s and sharing a cab ride with somebody and her brother from Tampa, and thinking how weird it was that we'd be in a cab in France with a couple from, Tampa. 6 years later, that woman walked into Unity of Tampa back in the late 90s, and she's still a part of our congregation today. And she's a part of my spiritual life, Leanne Bonetti. So wild moments, there's purpose in them. They sound crazy. How can we believe them? And Carl Jung described synchronicity this way. He said it's the process of experiences coming together to form a meeting that is so perfectly aligned with your life and needs that you simply cannot pass it off as a coincidence. He believes synchronicities were evidence of a unifying consciousness at play in the universe, creating physical manifestations of what's happening in our head. Now, how many of us have had perfectly aligned experiences, like receiving a call from someone who's been on your mind for a while, and you think, how did they know? Yesterday I was thinking, what did we do with those grapes? And Jeffrey walks in with a handful of grapes. And I was like, gosh, that only took 5 minutes. That's really impressive. It's getting good. I like when those moments happen. Pondering a decision, for example, when someone happens to share a message with us, that's exactly what we need to hear. How many times have you thought, oh, I don't know if I should do this or this? And someone walks up and just tells you something random that connects with what you're trying to make a decision about. Or maybe you're thinking about changing jobs and someone asks you if you know anyone who might be interested in the perfect opportunity for you. It all comes down to whether we are willing to believe that there is something bigger than us and whether we're open to seeing what's in front of us. And you know, the more you connect with that divine energy, the easier it gets to make decisions. Emily Cady in Lessons in Truth talks about how there are two distinct types of people when it comes to human mentality. And I'm going to ask you to think about which one you are. Don't tell me. I'm not looking for a show of hands. But just really be introspective about which one fits you. First, she said, it's those who need every statement to be proven by the most elaborate and logical arguments before believing it. And the second kind of person are those who are willing to be like children in their openness to pure understanding of divine truth and possibilities. She goes on to say that if you're the one who seeks and expects to gain anything spiritual through argument and reasoning, you are attempting the impossible, which is crowding the infinite into the quart measure of your own intellectual capacity. She also tells a story about how if we created a hole in a wall that allowed us to see outside, each of us would have a different perspective of what was on the other side of the wall. Each of us sees things according to the size of the aperture through which we are looking through, which limits the world to our defined view of it. Now think about that. How often are two of us looking at the same situation and seeing it completely different? And how many of us look only at what we're looking for? Maybe the negative in a person. Maybe the unlikelihood that good is for me. Maybe doubting before we even put something out in the universe about what we're hoping for. But the truth is, when you just lay your hands back and feel that freedom not to make those decisions, just to trust you'll be led to them, life is so much less stressful. You know, as we were going into this new year, I always go through all these reflections, and I made sure before the burning bowl I sat right there and I wrote down all the things I wanted to let go of this year. You know, I juggle every year. Is this the year I should end my corporate life? Is this the year Jeffrey and I should back away from our company of 29 years? We're starting our 30th year in this business. And then, as soon as I let it go, the answer came. And all this work lined up this past week. So I knew it wasn't time to go. I still have the need to serve somewhere. And I need to continue doing that. And in fact, I'll be in Boston working in a week. And it's like, we're right back, but I'm letting the universe decide for me what I need to be doing. Because in the head, it keeps going, are you too old? Are you too old? Are they wanting someone younger? That stuff happens, right? But there's no coincidence about what the universe keeps putting in front of me. I didn't used to believe that, but now I don't fight it. I just go with what life presents. And I'm a lot less stressed than I was. I'll just say that. But this is my question. Don't ask him. This is my question. Are we just afraid to believe the universe is so powerful that we would be able to get messages through that connection within us? That those random signs are for us? Are we just that afraid of believing in something bigger than us? Are we going to continue to try to prove the facts? Oh, it's science. There's nothing bigger than us. Science says that. Does that lifestyle work for you if you believe that? Because it would never work for me. Not with everything I've been through in my lifetime. What are we afraid of? Are we afraid we might get too powerful? Are we afraid of being happy? What are we afraid of? Our greatest spiritual awakening is dependent upon us understanding we are all connected, like it or not, we are all connected. And we are always receiving messages from one another and from this powerful universe. Deepak Chopra offers this perspective. He says, when you live your life with an appreciation of coincidences and their meanings, you connect with the underlying field of infinite possibility. And this is when the magic begins. This is a state, he said, I call synchrodestiny, in which it becomes possible to achieve the spontaneous fulfillment of every desire. Synchrodestiny requires gaining access to a place deep within us while at the same time awakening to the intricate dance of messages out in the physical world. He says, when a coincidence arises, don't ignore it. Just ask yourself, what is the message here? What is the significance? He said, do not go digging for answers. Just ask the question you need to ask. These messages and these answers may arrive as a sudden insight. You're driving and you think, oh my gosh, I know what to do now. A spontaneous creative experience. Or perhaps you're going to meet someone who is somehow related to the coincidence that occurred. An encounter, a relationship, a chance meeting, a situation, a circumstance will immediately give you a clue to the meaning, and you'll think, now I get it. That's what it was all about. But the key is for us to pay attention and ask. There's a book, by the way, in case you ever want to check it out, by Phil Cousineau, that features stories of all these, what he calls slight winks of fate. And some of the stories are bizarre in this book. You would find it hard to believe, but they're real stories. For example, there were 3 in there that I looked up. One was about a German homemaker who found a lost ring in a potato years after losing it. My immediate thought was she must have been planting something in the garden. A woman who dreams of her husband drowning in a bathtub and then rescues him the very next night from drowning. I could go on and on about all the examples I read, but the question is, what will it take for us to spend this year focusing on all the synchronicities that come to us so we can better understand life? And what will it take to allow ourselves to be so attuned that we don't fret at all this year? Let's review today's lessons. Understanding the synchronicity of life requires us to first live consciously and with awareness. Messages can come in a variety of forms. Number 2, pay attention to reoccurring signs and seek inner guidance for meaning. Number 3, follow the signs with faith and trust. You'll be led to where you need to go. Number 4, remember the universe is powerful and we are all divinely connected. And the affirmation I wrote for us today is, I embrace life's synchronicities. Let's say that together. I embrace life's synchronicities. And the quote today is from Denise Lynn. It says, in every moment, the universe is whispering to you. You're constantly surrounded by signs, coincidences, and synchronicities, all aimed at propelling you in the direction of your destiny. Let's take that in. And so we just pause to reflect upon the power we were given when we were born. The power of our mighty soul, the divine light and connection within us, the ability we have to ask for answers and know that the answers will be shown to us one way or the other. We say thank you, God, for the power we were given to be connected to amazing people, to all the energy, good and bad, in this world, knowing that the more we think positively, the more positive light we shed on things, the more positive outcomes we will see. And so it is. Amen.